Hey there, it's Olivia-Savannah here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today I'm here to give you a reading vlog. This vlog is part of my TBR Challenge 2025, and in this vlog I'm going to be reading Familiar Friends. Can we be friends? I'm going to be reading the authors that I've tried before, that are tested and that I know I enjoy, because I'm going through what I'm going to call a reading slump. So it's not a reading slump in the sense of I'm not reading books, because I really am, but I'm DNFing loads of books, more than my average, which is already high enough. And I'm just really struggling to find something above a 3-star read, and I want that for me. So I'm calling it a reading slump because it feels like a reading slump of quality. And so I'm hoping by returning to some favourite tried and tested authors, it's going to lift it a bit and, in the words of Evanescence, bring me to life. I've chosen 3 books that are all horror novellas. I'm in the mood for horror. I want to be horrified, and I think horror novellas are really good because they're short, they're sweet, though they're not always sweet, but they are short, so I'll be able to get through them very quickly. I have chosen What Feasts at Night by Kingfisher. This is the sequel to What Moves the Dead, and I've just really been wanting to kind of do better with reading my series. I'm terrible at reading series, and I'm fed up of being terrible at reading series. I want to read the sequels. So I really enjoyed What Moves at Night. It had kind of a almost sentient house, kind of very creepy, non-binary main character, and so What Feasts the Dead is where we see 2 characters from book 1 unite. They go to a different house, I think, and the caretaker's dead, everybody's dead, and nobody in the area will set foot in the house. So it's about what is possibly going on there. They're going to figure that out. Then we have At Dark, I Become Loathsome by LaRocca. I have read many an LaRocca book, and I hope to read many more. This one is a short novel, so again a novella, all one piece. I know they write a lot of short stories, but this is not that. And all I know is that this is something to do with horror and grief and connecting with someone online after, like, during their grieving period, and it becomes really warped and really strange. I'm finally at the point where I can read grief books without bawling my eyes out anymore, so I'm looking forward to reading some horror around grief. And then last but not least, I'm going to be reading The Flesh King by Kadrey. Now this is a proof that was sent to me by Titan Books, so thank you very much to them. This is the sequel to The Pale House Devil, which I read last year October for Gothtober, and this one comes out in October. Right now as I'm reading this is August, but I'm very excited to finally get around to the sequel because I loved the first one. So the first one is a novella that's set in this world where the undead exist, and this human assassin is working with this undead assassin, and together they collaborate and like kill monsters and whatever for a living, and they have to pair up with this young woman called Tilda to kind of deal with a devil that's in a house. But in this one, the gang are all together again, and they are tasked with dealing with the Flesh King, from what I understand from the blurb. So I'm very excited to read this one in particular. I think this is the one I'm most excited for, but to be honest, I'm happy to read anything by any of these authors, and I'm going to be reading them in the order that I showed you. So let's get to reading some horror novels. And I can tell you already something fun that's going to happen this evening, because I am going to the theatre with some friends. We have tickets to see Twelfth Night in the Globe, in Shakespeare's Globe. I've been to Shakespeare's Globe before, but I'm going again, and I am on a mission at the moment to see all of Shakespeare's plays in theatre, all of them. So he has 33 plays, I believe, and I've read them all. I've got a video where I review them all very quickly and rank them all, so if you want that, link below. But yeah, I'm on my journey to watching them all in theatre, and the Globe is the best way to do it for me because you can buy standing tickets in the Globe for £5. So for £5 you go and see a whole professional play. You've just got to stand for about 3 hours, and me and my friends are up to the task. I've also done it before, so I definitely know I can do it. Let's go. My lovely friends, disaster struck, and it is struck in full force. So today was a rare Saturday at home for me and I was having a great time. I filmed 2 videos, I took 4 thumbnails, I filmed 4 TikToks, and I took 2 Bookstagram photos. So I was being super productive, and that was all before 10 a.m. Then I had a little break to kind of like reshuffle things on my shelves, put away the books that I'd hauled in finally, and I cleaned up half the house. So half the house is clean now because I'm having guests over tomorrow. And I was just being such a productive queen this morning. I had a writing session with Hannah in the afternoon, and I wrote some personal think essays for my Patreons who are in the like 2nd tier and the 3rd tier. So, and then when I was like doing the cleaning interspersed with all these things, I thought, let me just dust the bookshelves, because that's the thing people do, and I want to make sure my bookshelves are clean, and every now and again I dust them. But when I was dusting the bottom shelf of my bookshelf, I thought, what is that darkness in the corner? And I removed the books and I saw that the bookshelf is damp. The bookshelf is ruined. There is mold all over it. Now, I don't know if I vlogged during this time, but a couple months ago, the toilet in my ensuite like broke and started to leak into the wall. So then the wall was damp and there was mold all over it. That is the wall that's next to my bookshelf. So again, there was mold all over that wall because of the fact that the toilet had leaked into it and it had gone damp. So that was what happened. They called people in, they treated it, they fixed it all up, they repainted the wall. It looked fabulous once they were done. However, I strongly suspect that the mold got into the carpet, and that is what they did not fix. And the carpet had been damp from that leak. So I think the mold got into the carpet, and once they put the bookshelves back and everything, the mold has just slowly regrown again, and now the carpet has definitely got mold in it, and that wall is the exact same places that it was messed up before when the toilet leaked. Who knows, the toilet could be quietly leaking again for all that I know. So I've written the emails to the people I need to write the emails. They've been lengthy emails. I've had to throw away 3 books, including a US edition of Akwaeke Emezi's The Death of Vivek Oji, but it also had to bin a proof, and I had to bin my secondhand copy of There by Tommy Orange. So all 3 of those books are gone now from my shelves, and so my TBR has shrunk by 3 books today, and I'm not really happy about it because I didn't plan that. I also then had to spend the rest of my evening doing damage control. So I removed all of the books on the bookshelf. As you'll have seen, they're all on the floor around my room, so now my room is packed with books that are stacked up. I don't know what the Billy bookshelves are made out of, but 10 out of 10 review, because the bookshelf that was supplied by the flat is entirely made out of wood, and that is completely infected, as I've shown. But my Billy bookcase stands next to it, and that bookshelf is completely untouched and is perfectly fine, even though when I moved it there was mold behind it. None of the mold had infected the shelf itself. So I've picked up that Billy bookshelf that used to go next to that one there, which is the moldy one, and I've moved it away. Like, I moved it away into a corner where it's safe, and all of my books are safe now. It's just that the wall is a mess, and that bookshelf needs to be like deconstructed and disposed of. So I just hate when there's so much housework to do, because it does mean it's all on my shoulders to get all that fixed, and it's just going to take time. And I love when something is broken that it's fixable by me, because I will do it now. Like, I don't like things in my flat being not the way that they should do, and I don't have any control over getting this fixed. I have to wait for people to come in. I have to wait for them to make the appointment because I'm renting, and I hate it. I'm uncomfortable and it makes me feel icky, and it's just derailed my whole plans for today. I had so much more productivity planned, and I wanted to vlog a whole load more fun things, but it didn't happen because I had to deal with all of this instead. I've also lost one of my SD cards. All that is to say, while I was stressing and doing all of these things that are heavily weighing on my mind, plus I've got a big to-do list of other stuff to do, I read my book in between to calm my soul. I seem to be reading Kingfisher books when I'm in high stress situations. I read Thornhedge when I was in a high stress situation, and now I'm reading What Feasts at Night in a high stress situation. The book is down there, but I'm showing you the dust jacket because that's, you know, actually got the cover on it, and I'm halfway through now. I'm halfway through and we're just getting started. So what I will say about this duology of Kingfishers is that it's very gothic in the fact that it's very slow, and it's a slow build, and everything is going to happen at the end in a crescendo. I know it is following that gothic kind of style, but my oh my, the important thing in gothic fiction and literature is the the atmosphere, and because the plot is all going to happen towards the end and it's going to have like so much symbolism and hints and build up to what it's about, which I can already see. You can see the symbolism, you can see the hints that Kingfisher has left for us. The atmosphere is carrying me through until that point. You need a good atmosphere to keep us reading, and so the strange feeling of like something is not right here and you're missing clues and something is very wrong and there's something darker happening, that is so vividly brought across by the haunting silence that is permeating through the writing. Because this is a novella as well, I think it helps that I know I don't have that long until I'm going to get to the good bit, so it doesn't feel slow to me. I'm actually just savouring it and enjoying it. I like T. Kingfisher's writing. I think they're very good with their characterization, and that is nonetheless the same here. We've kind of got a trans main character, and so we're learning a bit more about what it means to be a soldier, because they are a soldier in the first one, but you're seeing some more of the like effects of that in this one. And our main character has tinnitus as well, and so you're also seeing how that disability affects their lives, as well as the trauma they have from all of their war battles and things that they faced, as well as what happened in the first book. So I think it's doing a really good job of like being a sequel, building on the characterization that we know, but also introducing new characters for us to be interested in and to follow and see what's happening. I'm intrigued. I think the key word here is intrigued. It's a nice and quick read and I'm gonna keep reading, but yeah. Today has not gone to plan, and I really hope tomorrow will just be a better day. 12th night in the Globe, and it was really fun. 12th night is not one of my favourite plays, but it was done very well. They put in all the humour, they punctuated it. I just love Shakespeare because people stick to the original text, but through non-verbal actions in stage, they can add their own like additions to it and their own funny layers, and I did think it was very good. I did feel the length of the play. There's just so much silly comedy in 12th Night, and I'm not a comedy person for my plays. I don't want a funny silly play. I want funny moments in a very existential, very sad play, ideally. So I do think 12th Night is just a bit too silly for me, and while I enjoyed all the laughs and the jokes, sometimes I was like, can you just get to the plot? But yeah, it was good, and also we had such a diverse cast. We had disabled characters on stage, we had like black characters on stage, and I liked how they modernized it with kind of the costumes and everything, and they really kept that queer theme in it, which I really liked. There's hints of it in the play itself, but it's more profound in the way that they've done it on stage, which I really liked. It was just a very good production. There was a lot of kissing in this play as well, and our audience were very attuned to it. Every time there was a kiss scene or like flirting, everybody was like, ooh. So yeah, they were very verbal, which is fun. There was lots of clapping, and there was also singing in this. They had like the Fool singing the songs that are referenced in it, because it's like, oh yeah, the Fool sings, and he actually sang, which was really nice. So yeah. Looks like my room is a mess, but I promise it isn't. So I'm here to give you a bit of an update on what's been happening, and I've been reading a whole load of things, so we've got a lot to chat about. I am feeling a bit calmer about the situation with like the room and the mold, and my books are like on the floor, they're covered in blankets because it's really sunny. We're going through a heat wave right now, so it's really hot, but I've also just had a bit more of a chill reading weekend. I'm going to attempt to work out and do yoga in here tomorrow, even though there's not that much space. We're going to make it work because I need to move to release tension in my body. I just need to do it. But what's happened is, yesterday I had my friend over for dinner. I made us this big lovely veggie lasagna, and then we went and watched Superman in the cinema. I was really expecting to enjoy this because all of the people have been saying how good it is, but I also didn't want to like forget Man of Steel, and I didn't want to forget Henry Cavill. Like, I love that Superman film, and so I was like, I don't want it to be better, but I kind of do at the same time. And I realized that I don't like Superman as a superhero. I think he is too all-powerful and a bit too flawless for him to be a very interesting hero to follow, but I do like Superman films. And then I really liked Superman. I liked it a lot, and I think that is how you do a superhero film. I haven't been enjoying Marvel lately at all. Being able to see a superhero film and enjoy it and laugh and find it funny, like, don't get me wrong, it's still a superhero film because there are typical moments that are just so superhero-y, but I had a great time. I think it was suspenseful, I think it was fun. Yes, it was Superman as one person versus a whole group of people taking him down, but that's what you kind of need for the power imbalance, and Nicholas Hoult did a fantastic job at being Lex Luthor, and I really liked how they did Lois's character and gave her a lot of agency and made her really smart and intelligent, but also like complicated enough to be a very interesting character. It was just really, really well done. That was good fun. And then I was inspired by Daniela from Only If For a Page to declutter my bathroom, which I did, and all of my products and all of that. But let's get to the books because that's what we're here to chat about. So I finished reading What Feasts at Night by T. Kingfisher, and I really, really enjoyed this. It was such a good sequel. I'm so glad to have read a sequel. Really, really good. It was, as I said, a very slow build to the point, but actually after that halfway mark it already started to delve deeper and deeper into it, and I think it did a very good job of being suspenseful. When you've got this kind of mythological creature where it feels like what their power is not so threatening, it can be hard to make it spooky and creepy and scary, but T. Kingfisher really did that. I felt the horror in this one, and it was a horror, that sense of helplessness and that sense of the murkiness between realities and dreams and awake and asleep. As someone who struggles with sleep paralysis every now and again, I really got the feeling of sleep paralysis from reading this book, and so it was very, very good, very well done. I liked the ending. I really loved being back with all of these characters, Angus, Miss Potter, Alex. Really, really enjoyed this. This is again T. Kingfisher doing good stuff. And then I actually immediately just moved right on because I was in the mood to, and I started reading The Flesh King by Richard Kadrey, which is not the order I said I would read the horror novellas in, but I'm doing it anyway, and I'm actually already halfway through this book. So I think I told you about it before, and yes, we're following those three characters again. They've got a different monster that they need to defeat, and this is the first time that Tilda's properly like integrated into their duo, so now it's three of them and they've got a new dynamic to work through, and Tilda is very much learning the ropes. Now I'm enjoying this one a little bit less than the first book in the series, and I think that's because the simplistic writing, it didn't bother me in book one, and I actually liked it because it made it so readable, and this is still so readable. I'm reading it very fast, but the simplistic writing is just a little bit too simple for me, and I'm feeling the effect of it just being more simple than I want. I want a bit more description, I want a bit more from the writing quality. However, still having a good enough time. I do like Newland and Ford and Tilda's dynamic when they're all together, and the plot is a bit layered, like there's more, it's not just like them and then the Flesh King that they need to fight against. Yes, that dynamic is there, but there's a little bit more politics at play, there's a little bit more layering to the plot, which I appreciate because it makes it a bit more interesting for something that is a horror novella. I just don't think it's wowing me as much, but I'm happy to read it. I'm not going to DNF it or anything. I'm just going to keep reading and keep having a good time. And that's it really. I think it's going to be a middle of the road read from the way that things are chalking up, unless the end is something spectacular. I will say the world building is not as extensive and impressive as it was in the first one, and the characterization is just a bit less than it was in the first one. This is very dialogue heavy, so there are definitely things I want a bit more from, but still having a good enough time. But as I'm halfway through the middle book, that for this it's time to return to the calendar. We're getting there. So the next number we need is 17. I think that means we still got 7 left. Oh no, it's a cold brew. There's nothing wrong with a cold brew, they're just not my favorite teas because then I'm having iced tea instead of hot tea. But technically I should be excited to have an iced tea because it is like 30 degrees. Alright, it's a peach. It's a peach and mango cold brew. Right, what does it say? On here, a taste of the tropics where Santa swaps his sleigh for a surfboard. Sometimes I forget that the calendar's like an advent calendar for Christmas. Okay, naturally sweet and peachy perfect. This refreshing pairing of peach and mango will make getting your 2 liters a day a breeze. Glug, glug, glug. Okay. So I'm supposed to put this temple in cold water. perfect time to brew the peach and mango tea. And I have to say this colour is amazing, and also I really like this because you don't have to brew it hot and then put it in the fridge. It's actually designed and made to be brewed in cold water. So I just poured myself a glass of cold water, popped the tea bag in and left it in the fridge for a little bit to brew, and this beautiful colour came out. It smells like peach, it smells like mango, it smells like a really refreshing iced tea. So let's taste it. That is delicious. That's so good. That is like, oh, I'm sad I didn't make more. That is a 10 out of 10 from the tea advent calendar. It was actually so kind to me. I absolutely love that. That's something I would buy and just have, because it's like iced tea. It's healthy. It's not the iced tea in a bottle with loads of sugar in it. It's like iced tea. It's like a cold drink that I can enjoy. I also went to an influencer event, so thank you to the publisher and EDPR for inviting me, and it was for Love on Sight by Asli Jensen. You would have seen some short clips about that, but it's by a Somali mixed race author, and it's about that kind of love story. It's an interfaith story and an interrace love story, because she herself is someone who is interracial but also who works with people from like underprivileged households. And it was also really fun because the event was just such a celebration of blackness. There was like all black people in that room. It was just like a big, warm, bubbly space, and it was in Vapiano's, so they did give us like pizza and like dough balls and some like vegetables on a stick like mozzarella and olives, and so I had some wine, I met some new people, and it was a really nice vibe. So I actually really enjoyed going to that event after work, even though I was so tired that day. Been out for dinner with friends, been out for drinks with friends, so it's been a lot of going out lately. I ordered 2 new bookshelves. Those bookshelves are going to arrive and replace the bookshelves that I have to get rid of because of the mold situation. There's still books on the floor, but bookshelves are coming. That area is going to be fixed, and then I will have all my books on my new bookshelves, which will be built correctly this time, so I will have no grievances about my bookshelves, and I'll be much happier. Then have to give you a reading update. So I finished reading The Flesh King by Richard Kadrey, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I'm disappointed having read it all. I think the simplistic writing style was the downfall of this book, because in the end everything happened very quickly, it was wrapped up very conveniently, and it happened so easily, and I was just like, what is this action scene that wraps up the whole book in 2 paragraphs with like, he punched him, he did this, he did that, and that was like, that was it. That was the solution to the whole thing. And I know they wanted to give the one female lead character in this more agency, but it did mean that some of the other characters just didn't do anything. Like, what was Ford doing other than to be a damsel in distress? And I know they didn't want to give Tilda that role of damsel in the distress, but then it made Ford seem quite untalented, because he's not undead, he can't just absorb the bullets. So he ended up being that role a lot, and I was just like, Ford is better than this, he has more skills and talents than this. Newland's storyline is exactly as you can predict for what this book starts out with. I think I'm going to pretend that the series is a standalone and pretend the second one doesn't exist. But that's okay, we are moving on. I enjoyed What Feasts at Night, I think that one was not so great. The verdict now lies with At Dark, I Become Loathsome.
Hi, I'm reading lessons in chemistry.
to talk because things have been happening and it's time for me to wrap up this vlog. So from what you've last seen, I've been having a couple of like introverted days at home, which has been really nice because I feel like I needed to rest, relax and restore after just feeling very stressed over certain events that have been happening lately, as you've seen in this vlog. But I had a really nice time reading outside with Simi. I wasn't reading the books for this vlog, but it was really hot and sunny, so I just reveled in that and just enjoyed reading outside. That's one of my favourite happy places in the summer. And then I've just been doing chores around the flat, but I've just been in this really big urge to declutter lately. So I also decluttered my wardrobe. I donated any clothes that I don't really wear anymore. I'm planning on selling my bridesmaid dresses, or at least one of my bridesmaid dresses, and my prom dress that I wore back in secondary school. I just don't need to hold on to them. I decluttered my paperwork, going through anything that was old or outdated and saved the documents I needed to save. So I'm just feeling like I've done a little bit of a reset. I also made vegan mango sticky burger, so that's what you saw as well. That's from Calum's latest cookbook and it was really good. We're gonna have that again tonight. And I basically spent a lot of time reading today. I didn't pause for any breaks or breathers to update you, but I finished reading all of At Dark I Become Loathsome by LaRocca, and I've settled on I enjoyed this, but it really took me a while to get there because I was just very unsure about whether I could actively recommend this book because it's just so dark. Horror as a genre, there's different types of horror. There's horror that's very intense in body gore. That's one kind of horror. Some people really don't like that. There's horror that's really intense in terms of like subject matter. It can be very psychological, it can be really deep, it can be really dark. That's another type of horror. Then there's this type of horror where it's just so emotionally bleak and dark and despicable and disturbing. The disturbing horror, the kind of horror where you're like, is the author okay? That's where this horror level is at, okay? So I hesitate to recommend it because I can't even say if you're a horror reader, you're gonna like this. You need to be ready to read some really messed up stuff if you're gonna like this. It's very dark, it's very disturbing, and it's also heavily nihilistic. If you don't like nihilism in your books, if you don't like feeling like what is the point of life, life is not worth living because it's all pointless, like nihilism is life is pointless basically, and that's what this book is very heavy in. I'm going to leave the content warnings down below because that's what's needed. But yes, it's about a man who's grieving for his wife who has passed away, and also who has a missing child and is struggling with a lot of internalized homophobia, a lot of internalized homophobia, okay? And he does these death rituals where he buries people alive and then he, you know, digs them out again, and because they've come so close to death, they sometimes realize that death is not the answer for them and they decide that they want to keep on living. That's kind of what he does. But he is going through a very dark spiral throughout this book, and there's lots of stories about some very dark things. And that's all I can really tell you, but it's a very dark book. I can't even review it properly because it's so dark. The ending left me unsettled, which is what I want in my horror novels. It's very psychologically disturbing. Is the character okay? He's not okay. Am I okay after having read this? I'm not okay. Is anybody okay? Is the author okay? I don't know. The main character has a lot of piercings and he talks about how ugly he is because he has so many piercings, and I just don't think piercings equate to ugliness, so I didn't like that. And also it's quite repetitive. It repeats the line "At dark I become loathsome" a lot in this book. I would love to know how many times it appears. Too many for me to count. This one does evaluate queerness. He is a bisexual main character, but he really struggles with his internalized homophobia. He comes across several other queer characters, and the author is trans themselves, so there's a lot of queer horror in this. There's a lot of body horror in this, there's a lot of emotional and psychological horror in this, and yeah, the ending, I'm not going to say that the ending is hopeful, I'll just say that the ending is disturbing because that's what I think it is. But I was like, the ending is, a lot is going to ride on the ending as to whether I can say that I actively enjoyed this book or not. And the ending brought me to a point where I could be like, huh, I do think I enjoyed this. I do think it's saying, it ended in the way that it needed to end in for me to be able to say that I can take something away from this novel, and that it's not all bleakness and it's not all darkness. And I'm not going to say it's a happy ending because it is not. It's not a happy ending, but it's a something ending. And yeah, this book is troubling. I liked it. I don't know what that says about me. I hope you enjoyed these horror novellas and got some recommendations. Please let me know in the comment section down below What was the most scary horror films or horror books that you have read that scared you the most? Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. And you know what they say, onwards and upwards. Excelsior!